Why is your back getting weaker? Even if you walk every day, you eat healthy, you stay active, you try your best to take care of your body. But lately, something doesn't feel quite right. Maybe you've noticed your posture slumping more than it used to. Maybe getting up from a chair takes more effort. Or maybe you've started to feel a little off balance, like your body isn't as steady as it once was. You might think it's just a normal part of aging, but what if it's not? What if the real problem is that you've been quietly ignoring one of the most important muscle groups in your body, your lower back? As we get older, it's natural to focus on strengthening our legs, protecting our joints, or keeping our heart healthy. But very few people talk about the lower back, the muscles that run along your spine, support your posture, and quietly keep you upright every single day. These muscles are often the first to weaken with age, and when they do, it affects everything. Your ability to stand tall, to walk without hunching, to get out of bed, and even to stay balanced and avoid falling. The truth is, your lower back isn't just a part of your body. It's your foundation. And yet, for many seniors, it's the most neglected area in their fitness or wellness routine. Not because they're lazy, but because no one told them how important it is. Doctors don't always mention it. Exercise programs rarely focus on it. And by the time pain or stiffness shows up, it can feel too late to do something about it. But here's the good news. It's not too late. No matter your age or activity level, your lower back can still get stronger. With just a few minutes of simple, safe exercises each day, you can start to rebuild the strength and support your body needs to move better, stand taller, and feel more confident in your own skin. In this video, we're going to shine a light on the forgotten muscle group that could be the key to unlocking better balance, posture, and independence after 60. We'll show you why the lower back matters, how to tell if it's getting weaker, and, most importantly, what you can do about it starting today. I know you are a person who likes to watch videos quietly. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it because you are a kind person. If the video is helpful, press 1. If the video is not good enough or needs improvement, press 2. Thanks everyone. Now let's get started. Number 1, what are lower back muscles and why they matter more after 60? When Mr. Glenn, a 72-year-old grandfather from Ohio, began noticing that it was harder to get up from his recliner or that his lower back felt tight after a walk around the neighborhood, he figured it was just old age catching up. But during a routine physical therapy session after a minor fall, his therapist pointed to a diagram of the spine and said something that surprised him. This here, your lower back, is the foundation of almost everything you do, and it's probably been getting weaker for years. Glenn blinked. He had never once thought about training his lower back. He did some walking, tried to stay active, but no one had ever told him that his back muscles mattered that much. The truth is, most people don't give much thought to their lower back until it starts giving them pain or giving out entirely. Yet these deep, powerful muscles are working behind the scenes all day long, especially as we age. The lower back muscles, especially the group known as the erector spinae, are responsible for supporting your spine, stabilizing your posture, and coordinating almost every movement that involves standing, walking, or reaching. These muscles run vertically along both sides of your spine and connect with other key muscle groups in the hips, pelvis, and core. When they are strong and balanced, they act like a steady column that holds your body upright and allows you to move smoothly. But when they become weak or underused, which is common after years of sitting too much or avoiding back-focused movement, the entire structure begins to tilt and strain. Posture suffers, balance declines, and other muscles have to work harder to compensate, often leading to tightness, joint pain, or injury. After age 60, this problem becomes more pronounced. Natural muscle loss, called sarcopenia, starts to accelerate. If you're not actively working to maintain strength in your back and core, you may find it harder to stay upright without leaning forward or shifting your weight to one side. Over time, even simple movements, like standing for more than 10 minutes, reaching down to tie your shoe, or lifting a light bag of groceries, can begin to feel unsteady or painful. What's worse is that many seniors assume these difficulties are just normal aging, when in fact they are signs that a key set of muscles has been overlooked and undertrained for far too long. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Understanding how vital your lower back is to your daily life is the first step toward changing it. A strong lower back not only helps keep you mobile, it protects your spine, reduces your risk of falling, and even improves your breathing and digestion by helping you stand taller and straighter. Good posture isn't just about looking better, it's about allowing your body to function more efficiently with less strain on your joints and organs. And all of that starts from the base of your spine. For Glenn, that moment of awareness sparked a whole new routine. His therapist showed him a few gentle movements to begin activating his lower back, starting with simple extensions and chair-based exercises. At first, the movements felt small and awkward, but within a few weeks, he noticed that getting out of bed was easier. He could stand longer in the kitchen. He even started walking with a little more pep in his step. "I didn't realize how much I was leaning forward until I wasn't anymore," he said. Strengthening his lower back didn't just help him move better, it gave him confidence again. So if you're over 60 and no one has ever talked to you about your lower back, consider this your wake-up call. This muscle group may be out of sight, but it should never be out of mind. In the next section, we'll explore what happens when these muscles are left neglected and how that silent weakness might already be affecting your health and safety without you realizing it. Let's continue with number 2, the silent damage of weak lower back muscles. Number 2, the silent damage of weak lower back muscles. For many older adults, the slow weakening of the lower back doesn't come with a loud warning. It doesn't start with a sudden injury or a sharp pain. It begins quietly, almost invisibly, in everyday moments that seem too small to notice. Mrs. Carroll, a 76-year-old retired school secretary, first became aware something was wrong when she started leaning slightly forward while walking. At first, she thought it was just her shoes. Then she assumed it was her hips or knees. But when her daughter mentioned she looked hunched, Carol began to pay closer attention. She realized she had been placing one hand on her lower back every time she stood up. She didn't feel pain exactly, just tightness, fatigue, and a subtle sense that her body wasn't supporting her the way it used to. What she was experiencing was the silent damage of lower back weakness, something that affects millions of older adults without them ever knowing the cause. The lower back plays a central role in posture, movement, and balance. And when it weakens, the signs often masquerade as other problems. You may start to feel more tired after standing for short periods. You might begin using your hands to push yourself out of chairs, or avoid bending down to pick something up from the floor. The body begins to compensate in small ways, shifting weight to the knees, hunching the shoulders, taking shorter steps. Over time, this compensation becomes habit, and the original weakness in the lower back becomes more pronounced, leading to imbalances in the hips, tightness in the hamstrings, and even pressure on the neck and shoulders. One of the most serious consequences of an undertrained lower back is the gradual loss of postural integrity. When the muscles that support your spine aren't doing their job, your body begins to collapse inward. You might notice a forward tilt of the pelvis, a rounding of the upper back, or a flattening of the natural lumbar curve. This doesn't just make you look older, it makes you feel older. It affects your breathing, your digestion, and your ability to move confidently in the world. And the worst part, it all happens so slowly that many people don't realize it's preventable. For seniors, another danger is the impact on balance and fall risk. The lower back is deeply connected to your body's center of gravity. When these muscles are weak, your brain receives less stability feedback from your core, and your body responds with hesitation and stiffness. Walking becomes more cautious, turning feels harder, and sudden movements can throw you off balance. Falls become more likely, and once someone falls, the fear of falling again can lead to a cycle of inactivity, which only weakens the muscles further. Mrs. Carroll didn't wait for things to get worse. After speaking with a physical therapist, she learned that the tired feeling in her lower back wasn't just aging, it was muscle deconditioning. She started with a few seated exercises, just 5 minutes a day. At first, it felt too simple to matter. But within a couple of weeks, she noticed she was standing taller. She no longer needed to place a hand behind her back when rising from a chair. She could walk across her garden without stopping. "I didn't know my back was weak," she said. "It just felt like life was getting heavier. But I realize now it was my body asking for support." That realization changed everything. The scary thing about lower back weakness is that it rarely announces itself until it's already interfering with your life. And by then, it may have already contributed to other problems. Stiffness, reduced mobility, even chronic pain in areas that aren't obviously connected to the back. But once you understand the role of these muscles, you can begin to take back control. You can move from passively reacting to aches and limitations to actively preventing them. You can stop the silent damage before it gets louder, before it steals your independence, your posture, or your peace of mind. In the next section, we'll explore exactly how this silent weakness shows up in your daily life. Because once you learn to recognize it, you'll never look at standing, bending, or even walking the same way again. Let's move on to number 3, how lower back weakness affects your daily life. Number 3, how lower back weakness affects your daily life. At first, it's almost invisible. You stand up a little slower than you used to. You take shorter steps, maybe without noticing. You avoid bending down to tie your shoes or hesitate before reaching for something on the lower shelf. These may seem like small adjustments, little things that just come with age, but over time, they begin to stack up. Tasks you once did without thinking now require a moment of planning. You start looking for handrails, leaning more on furniture, and sitting down more often than before. What many people don't realize is that the lower back plays a role in almost all of these movements, and when that muscle group weakens, the changes show up not in dramatic injuries but in the quiet struggles of daily life. Your lower back muscles, especially those along the lumbar spine, are like the base of a tower. When that base is solid, everything above it stands strong and aligned. But when it starts to weaken or shift, the entire structure becomes unstable. Even your legs and shoulders begin compensating for what your back can no longer support. And unlike visible muscles like your arms or thighs, the lower back doesn't call attention to itself until it fails to show up when you need it most. It works quietly, supporting your posture, your balance, your ability to twist, bend, stand, and walk. And when it loses strength, your quality of life can decline in ways you may not immediately connect to your back. Take Mr. Dennis, for example. 79 years old, formerly very active, and still mentally sharp. Over the past year, Dennis noticed he wasn't as quick on his feet. He had always taken pride in doing things himself, but now lifting groceries felt harder, and reaching into the back seat of the car gave him a strange, pulling sensation in his back. He felt unsteady on uneven ground and found himself turning down outings that required long walks or too much standing. The odd thing was, Dennis didn't feel injured. He wasn't in constant pain, but he felt weaker and more cautious in ways he couldn't fully explain. After a thorough assessment, his physical therapist pointed to one clear culprit. His lower back muscles were no longer doing their job. This kind of weakness affects more than just movement. It touches your sense of confidence. When your lower back no longer offers the same stability, your brain starts to feel less secure. You second-guess your steps. You become more fearful of falling, even if you've never fallen before. And once fear enters the picture, it changes how you move. You avoid stairs. You stop walking without support. You might even stop exercising, afraid that you'll do more harm than good. Ironically, that avoidance only makes things worse, because the less you use your lower back, the faster it continues to weaken. Beyond balance, a weak lower back also changes your posture and breathing. When the muscles in your back can't hold you upright, your shoulders round forward and your chest compresses. This not only affects how you look, but also how well your lungs expand. You may feel more easily winded or notice shallow breathing during even mild activity. Digestion can slow because slouching affects your abdominal organs. Circulation can suffer. And if you already have arthritis or joint stiffness, Poor posture from back weakness will only increase the strain on your knees, hips, and even neck. Dennis, like many seniors, thought he was just getting old. But once he began working on gentle back strengthening exercises, even just 10 minutes a day, he noticed significant improvements. He stood taller. He didn't grip the handrail as tightly. He took longer walks without that nagging feeling in his lower spine. And most importantly, he felt capable again. "I thought I needed a new chair," he joked, "but it turns out I just needed a stronger back." That small mindset shift changed his daily life in ways he didn't expect. From his ability to cook, to how he moved through the grocery store, to the pride he felt in walking unaided again. So if you found yourself avoiding bending, moving more slowly, or sitting more than you used to, ask yourself this: could it be your lower back asking for attention? Could those quiet little changes be the early signs of a muscle group slowly falling asleep? The good news is your body is always listening, and with the right care, support, and simple movement, your lower back can wake up again, stronger, steadier, and ready to carry you forward. In the next section, we'll look at why this critical muscle group is so often ignored in fitness programs for seniors, and what needs to shift to make sure it finally gets the attention it deserves. Let's move on to number 4. Why most seniors don't train their lower back, and why that needs to change. Number 4, why most seniors don't train their lower back, and why that needs to change. It's a strange truth. The muscle group that supports nearly every movement you make, that holds your spine tall, and helps prevent you from falling, is also one of the most ignored in nearly every senior's routine. Most older adults focus on keeping their legs strong, their heart healthy, and their joints flexible. But when it comes to the lower back, that deep, stabilizing structure running along the spine, it barely gets a mention. Why is that? And what needs to change so this quiet part of the body finally gets the attention it deserves? There are a few clear reasons. First, there's a cultural and generational blind spot. For most of their lives, today's seniors were never told to strengthen their lower backs. Back in the day, fitness was about sports, walking, maybe a few sit-ups. There weren't wellness apps or tailored exercise plans for people in their 60s or 70s. If your back hurt, you rested. If you stood crooked, people assumed it was just old age. The idea that you could and should actively train your lower back muscles to protect your independence wasn't common knowledge. And so, as these muscles gradually weakened over time, most people didn't even notice, until the damage had already been done. Second, there's fear, deeply rooted and often unspoken. Many seniors have had a back go out once in their life, or they know someone who suffered from a slipped disc or chronic back pain. The memory of that pain lingers. It becomes a warning. Don't twist, don't lift, don't move wrong. The back becomes something fragile, something to protect, not to strengthen. Unfortunately, that avoidance creates a vicious cycle. The less we use the back, the weaker it becomes. The weaker it becomes, the more we fear it. And soon what was once a strong support system becomes a point of vulnerability, simply because it was neglected out of caution. Another issue is visibility. We see our arms, we feel our legs working, but the lower back, it's behind us. We can't see the muscles there, we rarely think about them, and most of us don't have the body awareness to notice when they're weakening until our balance gets worse, or our posture changes, or we start leaning on things for support. And unlike visible muscles that reward our effort with tone and shape, the benefits of a stronger lower back are quieter. They show up in how easily we stand, how long we can walk, how stable we feel. It's not glamorous, but it's essential. Many seniors also assume that walking is enough. And while walking is incredibly beneficial for heart health and leg strength, it doesn't actively strengthen the lower back unless done mindfully, with posture awareness and core engagement. In fact, many older adults walk hunched forward or leaning to one side, which can worsen postural imbalances and strain the lower back even more. Without exercises that directly target the spinal stabilizers, walking alone won't solve the deeper problem. The final and perhaps most important reason is lack of education. Most senior fitness classes focus on the legs, arms, and cardio. Few address the spine, the pelvis, or the core in ways that are truly safe and accessible for aging bodies. Seniors aren't lazy, they're underserved. They're ready to take care of their health, but they need someone to guide them through what to do, how to do it, and how it helps. Once they understand the why, most are incredibly willing to try. Just ask Mrs. Evelyn, a 77-year-old retired nurse who struggled with back fatigue and lightheadedness when standing for too long. She assumed it was her blood pressure, but after attending a senior mobility workshop, she learned that her lumbar spine was weak and that her posture was compensating in ways that made her feel less grounded. The instructor taught her how to engage her deep core muscles, gently activate her glutes and spinal stabilizers, and perform a few daily movements that didn't require equipment or intensity. Within a few weeks, Evelyn was standing longer, moving more freely, and most of all, feeling less afraid. She didn't have to avoid her back, she had to reconnect with it, and that's the message every senior needs to hear. Your back is not your enemy, it's your foundation. It's never too late to rebuild it. You don't need to be an athlete or go to the gym or lift anything heavy. You just need to become aware, consistent, and gentle. A strong lower back will not only support your spine, it will give you back your confidence, your steadiness, and your ability to move through the world with less fear and more freedom. In the next part of our journey, we'll dive into how exactly a strong lower back influences your posture and balance, and why this one group of muscles could be the missing link to standing tall, walking steady, and living independently longer. Let's move on to number 5, how a strong lower back improves posture and balance. Number 5, how a strong lower back improves posture and balance. When 75-year-old Mrs. Margaret began to notice that she was hunching forward while walking, she blamed it on her height. "I guess I'm just shrinking," she joked to her daughter, trying to keep it light. But in truth, Margaret was starting to feel embarrassed. She had always walked with pride, her head high, shoulders back, and steps steady. Now she often felt like she was leaning forward, almost as if gravity was pulling her down. She didn't feel as stable, especially when stepping off curbs or turning around quickly. The floor seemed closer, and not in a good way. One day when she caught a glimpse of herself walking past a store window, she barely recognized the woman in the reflection. That was the moment she decided it was time to find out what was really happening, and why her body no longer moved the way it once did. What Margaret would learn is something few people realize until it's almost too late. The lower back plays a central role in posture and balance, and when this group of muscles begins to weaken, the whole body starts to shift. Most people think posture is about the shoulders or neck, but those are just the visible symptoms. The real root lies deeper, at the base of the spine. Your lower back muscles, particularly the erector spinae and lumbar stabilizers, act like a pillar that holds your entire torso upright. They're the muscles that resist gravity all day long, that keep your spine aligned and your pelvis in the correct position. When they're strong, you naturally stand tall. When they're weak, the body folds forward and every step becomes just a little less steady. After 60, changes in posture and balance become more common, but that doesn't mean they're inevitable. The key lies in how well your back supports your body's alignment. Poor posture doesn't just make you look older. It can make you feel older by compressing your lungs, straining your neck, and throwing off your center of gravity. And when your center of gravity shifts, your brain begins to feel unsafe. That's when you start walking more cautiously, slowing down your movements, and avoiding uneven ground. The connection between the brain, spine, and lower body is incredibly tight, and a strong lower back helps anchor all three. This isn't just theory, it's biology in action. Studies have shown that spinal alignment affects proprioception, your sense of where your body is in space, and how your brain coordinates movement. When your back muscles are weak, your spine curves forward, which shifts your weight away from your hips and core and into your knees and toes. That forward lean increases your fall risk, especially when stepping down, pivoting, or walking in crowded areas. It also shortens your stride, causing you to shuffle instead of walking with full, confident steps. Many seniors chalk this up to bad knees or arthritis, but in many cases, the true origin is instability in the posterior chain, especially the lower back. For Margaret, just understanding this connection was empowering. Her therapist showed her how posture wasn't something she had to force with her shoulders. It was something she could support by gently strengthening the muscles that held her upright from behind. They began with seated back extensions, gentle pelvic tilts, and balance work while standing near a wall. The goal wasn't perfection, it was awareness and consistency. And slowly but surely, things began to change. Margaret noticed she didn't need to lean on the grocery cart as much. She walked with a longer stride, and for the first time in years, she stopped feeling like she was being pulled toward the floor. "It's like I got a few inches of confidence back," she smiled. That confidence is everything, because when your posture improves and your balance feels stable, your fear of falling begins to fade. You become more willing to walk farther, try new things, and say yes to social invitations you used to turn down. And the beauty of it all? The process starts with a few small movements each day, not to change your appearance, but to restore your foundation. Many older adults don't realize that. Better posture and balance aren't about being stiff or standing like a soldier. They're about creating a natural, relaxed alignment that your body can hold without tension. A strong lower back makes this possible. It allows the spine to rise, the shoulders to relax, the chest to open, and the brain to stop worrying about every single step. So if you've been feeling off balance or catching yourself leaning on counters or furniture more than before, don't ignore it. That's your body's quiet way of asking for strength, and strengthening your lower back is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Not just to move better, but to live with steadiness, grace, and the ability to trust your own body again. In the next part of our journey, we'll look at how to recognize specific warning signs that your lower back is getting too weak and what subtle signals to watch for before real problems set in. Let's continue with number 6, signs your lower back might be too weak. Number 6, signs your lower back might be too weak. It's easy to miss at first. You might think you're just tired or stiff from sitting too long. You tell yourself it's nothing, just part of aging. But quietly, day by day, something changes. You don't move quite as easily. You catch yourself leaning forward without realizing it. You hold the armrest just a little longer when getting up. These are the early signs that your lower back may be growing too weak, and if ignored, they can quietly erode your confidence, your stability, and your ability to live independently. Take Mr. Leonard, 78, who used to walk a mile every morning. Lately, he noticed he didn't feel as steady. He blamed it on his shoes at first, then his knees. But what was really happening had nothing to do with his feet. It had everything to do with the muscles supporting his spine. The truth is, when your lower back starts losing strength, the effects show up in many places, not just your back. Because the lower back is connected to your entire movement system, its weakness tends to send ripple effects throughout the body. One of the most common signs is increased fatigue when standing. You may find that you can't stand for as long as you used to. Cooking a full meal, standing in line at the pharmacy, even brushing your teeth becomes tiring. You might feel the urge to sit down sooner or shift your weight from foot to foot. This isn't just about tired legs. It's often the result of your back muscles struggling to keep your torso upright without enough support. Another sign is a forward-leaning posture, even when you think you're standing tall. This can sneak up on people, especially if you don't look in the mirror often. Over time, weak spinal muscles can no longer hold the natural curve of your lower back, causing the pelvis to tilt and the shoulders to round forward. This not only compresses the spine, but also affects breathing and digestion. If you've been told you're stooping, or you notice your reflection looks shorter or more hunched, your lower back may need attention. Instability or hesitation while walking is another warning. You might start walking slower, taking shorter steps, or feeling unsteady when changing direction. Turning to look behind you or stepping off a curb may feel more challenging than it used to. Often people think this is due to aging legs, but your lower back, as the core anchor of your spine, plays a major role in coordinating balance and movement. If it's weak, your brain perceives every step as a greater risk, and that's when hesitation sets in. Pay attention to how you get in and out of chairs. Are you using your hands more? Do you push off with your arms or shift your weight side to side? Getting up from a seated position is one of the simplest yet most telling movements. A strong lower back allows you to hinge forward and lift using your hips and spine in coordination. If that movement has become awkward, slow, or reliant on furniture, it may be time to strengthen the muscles that used to make it effortless. Also look out for aches in unexpected places, especially the hips, knees, or even upper back. When the lower back isn't providing adequate support, other parts of the body are forced to compensate. Over time, that extra workload can lead to misalignment, joint strain, or chronic tension. Many people treat these symptoms in isolation, icing the knee, stretching the shoulder, without realizing the root problem lies further down the spine. Mr. Leonard eventually realized that his cautious walking and frequent resting were not just aging, they were his body's way of signaling weakness in a system that had been quietly neglected. With help from a physical therapist, he started doing just 5 minutes a day of targeted exercises, standing hip extensions, seated back engagement drills, and light balance work. Within a few weeks, he didn't feel the same dread stepping off curbs or walking longer distances. He didn't need to use the counter to support himself in the kitchen anymore. "I feel like I'm moving through the world instead of the world moving around me," he said. These signs don't always scream for attention, but they whisper daily in your posture, your breath, your steps, and your comfort. And the longer we ignore them, the louder the consequences become. But the good news is that once you see the signs, you can respond. Your body may be aging, yes, but it is still responsive, still adaptable, and still ready to regain strength with the right care. In the next part of our journey, we'll move from awareness to action, showing you safe and simple exercises you can start doing at home to wake up those forgotten muscles and give your lower back the support it needs. Let's continue with number 7, safe and simple. Lower back exercises for seniors. Number 7, safe and simple lower back exercises for seniors. When 80-year-old Mrs. Helen first heard the words back exercises, her first reaction was fear. "I don't want to hurt myself," she said. "Isn't that how people end up needing surgery?" That kind of worry is incredibly common, especially among seniors who've been told for years to protect their backs, not move them. But here's the truth. Movement, done gently and correctly, doesn't harm the lower back. It heals it. And for older adults like Helen, just a few minutes of mindful, safe exercises each day can mean the difference between feeling unstable and feeling strong again. The key is to start small. You don't need machines. You don't need to get on the floor, and you certainly don't need to feel sore afterward. What you need are a few simple, controlled movements that gently activate the deep muscles that stabilize your spine and pelvis. These are the muscles that have quietly fallen asleep over the years. Not from injury, but from lack of use. And like anything that's been forgotten, they just need a wake-up call, not a boot camp. One of the best starting exercises is the seated pelvic tilt. Sit upright in a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor. Gently tilt your pelvis forward to create a small arch in your lower back, then slowly tilt it backward to flatten the arch. This movement is small but powerful. It teaches your body how to control the lumbar spine safely, and it helps activate the muscles deep in your core and lower back. Do 10 slow repetitions, focusing on breathing and keeping the rest of your body relaxed. For many seniors, this one simple exercise becomes a daily anchor, something they can do while reading the paper or watching TV. Another gentle movement is the standing hip extension. Stand behind a sturdy chair, holding the back for support. Shift your weight to one foot, then slowly extend the other leg straight behind you, keeping it straight and your upper body tall. You don't need to lift high, just far enough to feel the muscles in your lower back and glutes working. Pause for a moment, then bring the leg back down. Repeat 8 to 10 times per leg. This exercise helps re-engage the entire back body chain, especially the muscles that stabilize your spine while standing and walking. For those who are comfortable lying down, the bridge pose is a classic, safe option. Lie on your back with knees bent and feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. Slowly lift your hips toward the ceiling, pressing through your heels and engaging your glutes and lower back. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds, then lower down with control. Do pinch de Geschinschupovturschen. The bridge is excellent for activating the posterior chain, glutes, hamstrings, and lumbar spine, which all contribute to balance, posture, and back strength. If getting on the floor is difficult, this same movement can be done with your back supported on a couch or bed. One more favorite of many therapists is the wall lean posture reset. Stand with your back against a wall, heels about 6 inches away. Try to gently press the back of your head, shoulders, and lower back against the wall. It may not all touch, that's okay. Just focus on breathing and feeling the spine align naturally. Hold for 30 seconds. This position reminds your body of what upright posture feels like and subtly strengthens the muscles that help maintain it. Mrs. Helen started with just the pelvic tilts and wall leans. It felt like nothing at first, she admitted, but after 2 weeks, I felt like I could stand longer without slumping. My back wasn't shouting at me anymore. She didn't need pills or surgery. She needed movement that respected her body's limits while still inviting it to grow stronger. That's the beauty of lower back exercises for seniors. They don't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler they are, the more likely you'll do them, and the more effective they'll be over time. The goal isn't to build a bodybuilder's back. The goal is to reclaim strength, balance, and confidence, to get out of a chair without fear, to walk without holding walls, and to live without constantly thinking, "Am I going to fall?" Try choosing just one of these exercises to begin. Do it each day at the same time. Let it become part of your rhythm, like brushing your teeth or pouring your morning coffee. As your confidence grows, you can add a second, then a third. This isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. The back responds best to slow, steady attention. And the results, better posture, fewer aches, more freedom, are worth every quiet repetition. In the final section of this journey, we'll pull all the pieces together, why the lower back matters, what happens when it's neglected, and how small daily habits can rebuild your foundation for strength, stability, and independence. Let's continue with conclusion. Reclaiming your strength one step at a time. Conclusion, reclaiming your strength one step at a time. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to remind you of something very simple, yet very powerful. Your back is still there for you, and it always has been. It has carried you through decades of movement, work, caregiving, joy, and change. It may be quieter now, maybe a little stiffer, maybe a little more hesitant, but it's not done. It's still holding you upright every day, doing its best to support you with what strength it has left. And the question is, will you meet it halfway? We've talked about how the lower back is often ignored, misunderstood, or feared. We've explored how its weakness can slowly affect posture, balance, and even independence. Sometimes so gradually that you don't notice until something changes. A fall, a stumble, a struggle to get up from a chair. But we've also learned that it doesn't take hours in the gym or complicated workouts to rebuild what time has quietly taken away. It takes awareness, intention, and consistency. Just a few small movements, repeated with care. Think of your lower back not as a problem to fix, but as a partner to support. When you strengthen those forgotten muscles, you don't just improve how you stand, you change how you move through life. You reclaim the ability to walk without fear, to stand without leaning, to trust your body again. And that, more than anything, is what keeps us truly independent as we age. Not youth, not perfect health, but confidence and the physical ability to live life on our own terms. Maybe you've recognized yourself in one of the stories shared. Maybe you felt the same hesitation as Mr. Leonard, the same hunched posture as Mrs. Margaret, or the same fear as Mrs. Helen. If so, I hope you also feel something else rising in you now. Possibility. Because it is entirely possible to feel stronger, more balanced, and more stable than you do today. It doesn't matter if you're 62 or 92. The body responds to attention, and the lower back is no exception. So where do you begin? You start small. You try one movement, one habit, one breath while standing tall against the wall. You honor your body where it is, not where it used to be, and you remind it kindly and gently that you're still here, that you still want to move with freedom, that you still deserve to feel strong. The journey back to confidence isn't loud. It's quiet and steady. It's a choice you make each day, to listen, to move, to grow. And over time, those small choices stack up. They become strength. They become freedom. They become the reason you wake up one morning, stand up tall, and realize you're not holding on to anything anymore. Not the railing, not the fear, not the belief that it's just aging. Your back has been supporting you for a lifetime. Now it's your turn to support it. And by doing so, you're not just taking care of your body, you're taking care of your future. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope it gave you insight, encouragement, and a new way to see your strength. Not as something you've lost, but as something you can rebuild, one small, powerful step at a time. We really appreciate you spending time with us today. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. It's a simple way to support our work, and it helps more people discover the tips they need to live healthier, happier lives. And if you want to stay up to date, just click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. See you again soon.